Good Saturday morning. I'm Meteorologist Ryan Hoke with today's edition of the Hokey video blog. So glad you're here to join us and hope your Saturday's starting off on the right note. We've got a lot to talk about weather-wise, including a fairly nice weekend, warming for your Monday, and then after that, well, let's just say it's going to get cold. There's a lot of interesting things in the long-range forecast that we do need to have a discussion about. So let's get right to it today. With your Hokey weather fact, we're talking about dust devils. They don't happen just here on Earth and in those desert areas in the southwest. They happen on Mars, too. Mars has an atmosphere, but I probably wouldn't breathe that atmosphere because it doesn't really have any oxygen in it. So, if you ever hear someone say that dust devils, well, they only happen here on Earth, that's not true. They happen on Mars, too. SkyTrack network of cameras from Paoli this morning, showing us the clouds moving in. I think we're going to have mostly cloudy skies through the day. And the reason I'm showing you Paoli is because there's no snow on those slopes yet. The key word is yet. Alright, that's a little teaser, right? As we go throughout today, we will see these clouds on the infrared satellite view continue to flip on through here. We've got a few of these sprinkles and showers up just north of I-70, just northeast of Indianapolis. I don't really think we're going to have a shower chance here. We may see a sprinkle or two, but at this point, I think the main deal is going to be the cloud cover that we see moving through here through much of the day. Front's going to be passing through, and this front, it's not going to be doing much other than taking us down a couple of degrees and providing us with that very minuscule sprinkle chance. But up to the northwest we go, way northwest. Let's go out to the Aleutian Islands. Let's get your bearings here. This is Alaska. This is the Aleutian Islands here. Here's the Kamchatka Peninsula out there near Russia. And here is extratropical storm Nuri. This was Typhoon Nuri. It's kind of gone up, recurved up toward the northeast there from Japan. This thing is a powerhouse storm, if there ever was one. You can see the area of low pressure there spinning around right there just west of the Aleutians. We've got pressures down to 924 millibars. For those who don't speak weather, my goodness, that is record-breaking for the North Pacific. They've never had a storm recorded up there that strong. And something that I was taught back in meteorology school is always look at typhoons in the Pacific, because that is a harbinger of the weather to come for the eastern half of the nation. If you get a typhoon that recurves off the east coast of Japan, about 10 days later, look out, here comes a big trough of cold air over the United States, and particularly the eastern half of the nation. That is exactly what we're looking at, just on a Herculean scale here, because of the powerful nature of this storm. But for today, we don't have to deal with that yet. Flee-off markets happening in Nulu off Jefferson. 50s for high temperatures, mostly cloudy skies expected. Let's take you through the forecast in detail. As we go throughout your Sunday, plenty of sunshine. By Monday, same story, but we get this southwesterly flow here. That gets our temperatures all the way up to 60. If I can draw a 6. Well, I can't draw a 6 on here, can I? Well, that's just going to have to be a 6. 65 degrees for a high temperature as we go throughout your Monday. Now, as we go throughout your Tuesday, we do have a rain chance to contend with. And here it comes, right there. This is that Arctic front that's moving on through. It's going to be transitioning through as we go throughout your Tuesday afternoon into your early Wednesday morning. There have been some indications that there could be some snowflakes on the backside of this mixed in with rain showers by early Wednesday morning. The latest model data is really not latching on board with that I've seen this morning, but it may transition back to that. Something we'll watch with these fronts. That's kind of something you do have to deal with. Behind the front, though, oh boy, here it comes. There's the big polar plunge. We've been talking about this big Arctic outbreak of air here. Cold weather basically from Montana down to Texas over to Washington, D.C. This is enveloping about 2/3 of the country. Just a rough estimate here, folks. You know, they're going to have snow up in Minneapolis during this time. I mentioned, kind of indirectly, snow earlier in this webcast, and I think we're getting to the point where we need to have this discussion. Here's the discussion we need to have. With this trough in place, this polar vortex, if you will, which it's not the polar vortex, by the way. The polar vortex is still going to be way up toward the North Pole, and just a lobe of it's going to be rotating around eastern and central and Canada during this time frame, the cold air from it spilling into our part of the nation. I digress. The snow part of this is that when you get these troughs of cold air, when they stick around like this, you've got the cold air in place, the antecedent thing for snow. But on the edges of these, you get a temperature gradient, like right here out in Texas. And that area is ripe for low-pressure development. You get low-pressure development off the Rockies, the lee side cyclogenesis, if you will. You can see that little dip in the temperature right there out near Denver. And that's where you get that, just east of Denver. And then you can get ones more toward the Gulf Coast states out there in Texas. The GFS and the Euro have both latched on to this idea of a southern low development now. And this would be toward not Tuesday of this coming week, but the next Tuesday. So not Veterans Day, but the Tuesday thereafter, the 17th. And this thing would kind of follow this temperature gradient on up the coast here. And this pattern is favorable for that. Now that both models are latching on, I think there's enough confidence to say that we're going to have to watch for a system as we go throughout basically a week and a half from now that could is the key word here. I'm not saying that we're going to have any sort of wintry weather event. I'm just saying this track is going to have to be monitored because with this scenario, there could be some wintry precipitation on the north side and more summer-like, rain and storms on the south side. We'll have to watch that track. It's going to be crucial. It's November. It's still early, folks. Our snows usually don't start until like the end of November. This is mid-November we're talking about. This is early this year, but with this kind of cold air in place, you kind of have to assume that a winter-like pattern and winter-like low pressures are going to start developing. How long does this cold air last? Well, current indications from some of the long-range and the climate models say it could last through the end of November and possibly beyond. 45-day outlook I looked at said below average temperatures for the eastern half of the nation for quite some time. So, I think we're going to have to get used to this. The snow chance is something we'll be looking at. Both the GFS and the Euro saying, hey, this area right here, you need to start monitoring. You need to start looking for things in the future. We're not saying anything's going to happen yet. We're just saying at this point that we're going to have something to track possibly over the next week and a half. Something fun certainly to look at. If you like snow, bots. If you don't like snow, then probably not your cup of tea, and we'll hope that that low either goes far enough south that we don't have to worry about snow, or far enough north that we get on the warm side of it. At this point, I think the southern solution would be more preferred based on how strong this area of cold air is coming into play here. Gosh, lots of interesting things to talk about in the forecast, and it's only mid-November. Again, we're not calling for snow, just saying that there's a chance there for something wintry over the next week and a half. So here's the temperature trend, the high temperature trend over the next several days. We get into the 50s today and tomorrow, 60s by Monday, and then we begin that drop behind that front on Tuesday into Wednesday. We'll be only in the 30s by Thursday and Friday. This is just an interesting forecast. If you ever hear anybody calling it the polar vortex, just remember, it's just a part of it, and it's only in Canada. It's not here in the United States, so kind of something you can take around and distribute out to your friends today. A little weather trivia for you there. All right, I'll be back here tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, on Sunrise, starting at 5 a.m. Hopefully my throat will get better. You probably heard that I've got quite the severe cold right now, but drinking lots of tea this morning, so hopefully we can get over that in the next 24 hours. For now, I'm meteorologist Ryan Hoke. Have a great Saturday.